Hello everybody, John12 back here again with another video. I'm here to give you my official review for From Dusk Till Dawn, the series, Season 2, Episode 1. If you've not seen this episode premiere, please go check it out because this review may contain spoilers. But that being said, let's get into From Dusk Till Dawn Season 2. Now, obviously, actually before I get into my review, I just wanted to quickly refer to the background noise that you may or may not hear. It's pretty much, I'm obviously going through hurricane season, and there's a gigantic hurricane heading towards my town, so essentially, there's a lot of thunder, there's a lot of lightning, and there's a lot of rain. So essentially, that's the background noise in the forefront, but I think for this kind of show, it kind of fits, and it feels better, so I think it's not going to be that big of a deal. But that being said, From Dusk Till Dawn, Season 1 was a pretty interesting season. I think I have more sentimental value to it, more or less, not because I loved it, but because it was the first ever TV show that I reviewed on a episode by episode basis. That was the first real show. I mean, like the second stuff I did was of course I reviewed shows before, but this was the first one that I ever took on to really schedule every episode with a review. So that was kind of like the best part of Season 1. And overall, going back and watching Season 1, or looking back at it in perspective, it was a good season. Of course, if you don't know what From Dusk Till Dawn the series is, it's essentially a TV serialized version of Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino's cult classic From Dusk Till Dawn, which is a very cool, like, Tarantino movie meets Robert Rodriguez mariachi movie introducing vampires. That's essentially what the movie was, and it was an awesome movie, and it still is a pretty awesome, entertaining movie. But when Robert Rodriguez launched his El Rey network, he decided to make a show based off that movie, and Season 1 came out and it was pretty relatively successful. It was a pretty decent first season, and it was entertaining, it was fun, and it had a lot of interesting things in comparison to the movie, and I enjoyed Season 1. I thought it was a pretty good, interesting season. I mean, granted, the later episodes, and specifically the finale, I wasn't really big on. I felt like the first part of Season 1 was very strong, and then when they got to the third act of the season, it really lost its flavor, and that's kind of like my personal feelings on Season 1 overall. But Season 2 pretty much takes place several months after the events of the finale, which, of course, if you don't know what happened in the finale, go check out Season 1, then come back, because, spoilers. But overall, everyone's pretty much have gone their separate ways. The Gecko brothers are off and doing their own things, Seth is doing his own thing, Richie's doing his own thing with Santanico and whatever, and then you have, like, the underground vampire society, like, trying to come up with a way to get Santanico back into the club. I don't know what the heck that it means, but whatever, who cares? And pretty much this is just a recap of what happened and what are the characters doing now as we speak. And we see Carlos doing his thing, we see a bunch of other characters from Season 1 doing their thing and introduced, and that's pretty much it. It's just an expansion of what they're doing now and how, I guess, everything's going to lead towards them coming back together and hopefully doing something. Overall, the episode was decent. It was directed by Robert Rodriguez, which was pretty cool. I mean, he only directed like a couple of episodes last season, so I guess it was cool to see him come back and direct some more. And I think that's kind of like the main good thing about this episode is the directing's pretty cool. The writing is pretty interesting. I found it kind of weird, the overall structure of the episode, because for a premiere, I don't think it's as strong as they were hoping it to be. And there was a lot of cheesy aspects about the episode that I wasn't quite fond of. I felt like when I rewatched the episode, it kind of felt like watching Schumacher's Lost Boys, but a more darker, like a Robert Rodriguez version of Schumacher's Lost Boys. That's what it kind of felt like, and I don't think that's particularly a good thing or a bad thing. I think it really depends on your perspective on Lost Boys and Robert Rodriguez to really get a good grasp of, like, is that a good or bad thing? I don't know, but I'll tell you one thing. This season, or at least this episode, has a lot of cheesy elements that I don't think is a good decision. I mean, like, there was a lot of cheesiness that went on to this episode, and I just wasn't really big on it. I just, like, season one had its cheesy aspects, but it was so it was so grounded because you had fantastic actors. You had really good A-list casts. You had really fucking. You had this grounded structure because you had this series that was based off a movie, so you can just go back to the movie for source material. This season goes off its own kind of story, and once again, I never really watched the sequels to From Dusk Till Dawn, so maybe they're the same, but I don't know. Clarify that in the comments if you want to, but I think I think it's a hit or miss. It really depends on your perspective. For me, I think it's kind of just downright the middle of like, okay, it was okay, but it wasn't great. I feel like you could have went into so many different directions, but then again, I don't think it really matters because with a show like From Dusk Till Dawn, and for them wanting to come back to do a sequel season, they have to bring something to really make the characters come back and do these kind of fantastical Inception type thing just with vampires, kind of like how they did with season one. However, it just comes off as cheesy, and it doesn't really make that much sense, at least to me, or really as just a moderate viewer to care. It's like, okay, Richie and Santanico are together, they're doing their thing, they're banging out in the woods. Sure, okay, cool, but why continuously try to just cut your losses? That's all I can really say. It's like, I guess that's just me, and maybe that's the uncreative, unoriginal person in me, but it's like, my season 2 would be very simple. Everyone else go their separate ways, live their lives the way they want to, and Richie just have sex with Santanico and order pizza, and that's it. Just live out in the house. Who gives a shit? Like, why have to recap and try, and like, how do you, like, okay, if you're immortal now, like, why do you still have vampire power? Whatever. And then you have like this underground society, and you got the old dude with the skin jacket that doesn't make any sense, and he wants to fucking bring her back because that club still needs, I don't know. There's just a lot of wacky shit that I think they tried too hard to set up for the course of the season, and it just came off as cheesy and unclear to me. And I think that's the major negative I can go off on. And on top of that, I'm also not really big on the character and or the actress of Santanico Pandemonium. I know people love this actress. I know that. Last season, when I bashed her in the episode she was in, people gave me shit. Like, all her fans were like, oh, she's awesome. She's the best. She's so beautiful. It's like, look, she may look good. And I'm not denying that. The actress that the El Rey Network got for this program, she's fucking beautiful. I'm not denying that. She's a beautiful actress. She's pretty. She's good to look at. But I don't think she's a great actress. Every time she speaks, I just want to forward this program every time every time she speaks, I'm just hitting the forward button because I just don't care, and it doesn't come off in a good way. It just doesn't come off like, I think making her a main character was a wrong decision. She should have stayed a villainous character from season 1 and should not have been coming back to season 2. The actress they got for her looks amazing, but she doesn't have the presence or the performance skills to really give me any interest in her, other than just like, oh, you look good. It's kind of like the Megan Fox thing. Yeah, Megan Fox is pretty to look at, but is she a great actress? It depends on your subjective opinion, but on my opinion, I say nay. That's kind of how I feel about the actress they have for Santanico. Now, granted, I know she has a gigantic fan base, but I just wasn't big on her. But on one major component that really made me want to actually watch season 2 is, and it's kind of a double-edged sword, and that's, of course, the legend himself, Danny Trejo. Yes, finally, Robert Rodriguez decided to bring in Danny to fucking be a part of this program, which I felt like was a major loss of season 1. Like, every time a new episode would come up from season 1, I was just saying, like, oh, is Danny going to come in? Is Danny Trejo going to come in? And he never did. He was never in season 1, but he decided, but Robert Rodriguez brought him in to play a specific character for season 2, and he's introduced in this season, specifically this episode, and I think and the only reason I say it's a double-edged sword is because, and I don't want to spoil it too much, but the way he's introduced and the I guess the reasoning behind it doesn't make that much sense, and it just comes off, once again, to use the word, cheesy. And but on top of that, regardless of the cheesy and ridiculous aspects of the show, Danny Trejo being a part of this program just makes the program better. It just does. Danny Trejo it's just impossible to watch anything Robert Rodriguez and not have Danny Trejo a part of it somewhere. It's just impossible and ridiculous. So it's great to have him in there. Hopefully in following episodes he has more of a significant role other than just, being Danny Trejo, although I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen regardless, but I just want to see more out of him. On top of that, everyone else, performance-wise, was pretty decent with the exception of the actress from Santani. Once again, I'm sorry for all her fans, but I just don't like her. She's beautiful, but she's not a great actress, and I personally feel like having her open and close this episode, not to mention having her have so much inner monologues and dialogue, was such a terrible decision. That's why Salma Hayek doesn't say shit in the first movie, because who gives a fuck what that character says? But in this series, they gave her so much to say, and it just comes off as like if a child said them. And I think a child could have done better, especially with the child actors of today. Oh my god, but whatever, it is what it is. I know I'm kind of ranting about this actress, but I'm just saying, folks, it's my opinion. I'm not big on the actress. I don't think she's that great. She may be pretty, but, that doesn't really mean anything to me. On top of that, we do get introduced to the big bad of this episode, of this series, if you will, the season, which is essentially the actor with the skinned freaking trench coat. I don't know what his intentions are. I mean, we kind of get the general gist, he wants Santanico back or whatever, and Santanico's with Richie, and they're trying to, take them down or whatever. I don't know. It's all stupid and cheesy, and who cares? It's like that B-movie Grindhouse, which Robert Rodriguez is obsessed with nowadays. It's just that's the style of it. So it doesn't really matter. It's just all about action, super hot chicks dancing, and blood and destruction and all that crazy shit. So that's the general gist of it. The big bad is kind of whatever. And also a big thing that I kind of feel disappointed with this season is that other than the introduction of this character and of course Danny Trejo, there's not really a solid actor to ground the other characters as a main cast member. And that's what I liked about season 1, because you had Don Johnson and then you had Robert Patrick, and then it was just grounded. You grounded the show because you had those two big actors who can ground the other characters. The other characters are all spread out and they're doing their own things, and they're not grounded, and they're not universal, and they don't have a legitimate story arc that can go anywhere other than just coming back together, forming this team, and facing all vampires again. So I just think that was kind of negative. I mean, maybe we'll see. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, I don't know how Danny Trejo is going to fit into the series other than just being Danny Trejo, but I guess we're going to have to wait and see. Overall, if I had to rate this episode, this season 2 premiere, it was a decent episode. I know I kind of feel like I ranted a little too much, but overall, it was a decent episode. I mean, the effects were pretty good. It had a very Blade-esque kind of effect, which was pretty cool. I love the vampire effects. I mean, that one big dude who was this really, he was a cross from the Predator to the the average snake fucking vampire design that they created for this show. I liked. The actors who play Seth and Richie Gecko were pretty good as always. I mean, I think they killed it last season, so they definitely brought their game for this season. And I just can't wait to see what happens next. Danny Trejo, I can't wait for him to dominate. I can't wait to see what happens with Wilmer Valderrama's character, to see what he's going to go. I wonder where the cop is going to go. The cop who was supposed to kill the Gecko brothers but didn't in last season, which really aggravated me, but whatever. We'll see what he's going to do. Overall, episode 1 of season 2, decent, good episode. Not a great episode, not the best premiere episode ever, but it was decent. And there were a lot of things I didn't like, obviously, like the actress who plays Santanico. I feel like she has way too much to do that's unnecessary. The story doesn't feel like it's going anywhere. And on top of that, it felt like they tried to introduce too many characters right off the bat. I felt like you could have done more with not saying that much, and of course not showing that much. I mean, I felt like you should introduce all these characters when you reach into further episodes. Introducing everyone right off the bat kind of felt, it's like the beginning of an Avengers movie. It's oh, we're all together, we're here, it's come on, take it easy. We have a season. take it easy. Overall, I give the episode season 2 episode 1 from Dusk Till Dawn the series. I give it a good 7 out of 10. It was a good, decent, solid premiere. Wasn't the best, wasn't the greatest, but it was okay and good, and that's all right. I mean, like, it's entertaining, fun cheesiness, and if you're a TV guy and you love Robert Rodriguez and you're a part of the El Rey network and you like Quentin Tarantino, Robert Rodriguez movies, specifically from Dusk Till Dawn, and you like vampires and all that kind of crazy shit and sexy Latinas and all that awesomeness, then this show will be fucking pretty good for you. So check it out. Let me know what you personally think in the comment section below. I hope I didn't offend anybody with the whole Santanico rant. I'm just saying, I said it too much. It is what it is. Overall, let me know what you personally think in the comment section below. But before I go, I just wanted to mention real quick, update-wise, is that unlike Season 1, I will not be reviewing every episode of Season 2, so just keep that in mind. I will not be coming back reviewing every episode. Maybe I'll review some here and there, but overall, this is pretty much the way it is. I know that kind of feels weird because I reviewed all of Season 1. However, there's a lot of, TV shows that are going to be coming out during the fall, and seeing as how we're reaching the fall, we got and not to mention, we have a lot of other horror TV shows. And I have to mention, like, after watching the abomination that is known as MTV Scream, this is definitely a way better horror TV show. So, kudos to you, Robert Rodriguez, for being better than Scream. But however, there's a ton of other fucking great horror TV shows that are coming up that I have to review and I want to review, which is obviously, Scream Queens, the new season of American Horror Story, not to mention freaking Ash vs. Evil Dead, and then not to mention The Flash comes back, and, more Vixen, all that kind of... There's just too many TV shows that I have to review, and I want to, so that's the only main reason why I won't be reviewing, and not to mention Gotham and Supergirl and all that stuff, so many TV shows to review, so I will not be reviewing every episode, maybe some here and there, but overall, this is pretty much it. And maybe the finale, maybe. Just overall, let me know what you personally think about all this stuff in the comment section below. Your personal thoughts on the Season 2 premiere, where the show is going to go from here. Your personal thoughts on Season 1 overall. Maybe even your personal thoughts on the actress who plays Santanico. Let me know in the comments below. And of course, if you've not done so already, please follow me on Twitter and Instagram at JohnX12. Subscribe to my channel if you've not done so already. And this has been JohnX12.